What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy BrianDaddy coming at you with another video. Today we have Algeth'ar Academy, a little mythic dungeon guide. So right when you jump in, you're going to want to pick a buff. You can choose between bronze for haste, blue for mastery, green for healing taken, red for versatility, and black dragonflight for crit. All is about 5%, and then the healing is 10% healing taken. And now you have this Vexamus trash. You're going to have a few different types of packs. You have arcane elementals here. The elementals and enchanted items, the priority kick is Mystic Blast. You're going to want to dodge swirls from the arcane rain as well. Also, that the Unruly textbook has a monotonous lecture, which is an 8-second sleep, so you want to make sure you definitely you either kick that or dispel that. The Corrupted Mana Fiends have a Mana Void, which you can kick if possible, and Surge, and basically Surge doesn't do that much damage. You only kick that if you have kicks available. The Mana Worms, pull as many of these together as the healer can handle, and make sure everyone is stacked fairly close so that way when they dive, they aren't super spread out. Arcane Ravagers have abilities that are always used together in the following order. They use Vicious Ambush, which charges the player, and Rift Breath, which immediately turns towards a random party member and does that shockwave. So just make sure you are positioned safely. Group them up, AoE them down. Tanks, pull the packs near range so everything is grouped up nicely. Kick Mystic Blast when you can. Healers, make sure you dispel the monotonous lecture. DPS, make sure you kick Mystic Blast or the lecture so that way you can make everybody's job easier. Once you get to the boss, you're going to have 3 of these elemental packs to kill. It's up to you based on the tank and your healer what you guys can handle. If you want to do one at a time, that's fine. If you want to save time, I would recommend grouping all of them together if you have uncapped AoE classes. Alright, Vexamus. Arcane orbs will spawn all around the circle. You must be soaked by different people. Don't let them hit Vexamus. It will gain 20 energy and damage your whole party. And each orb soaked does damage and puts a magic dispellable stacking buff on you, so healers can take it off of you after you grab a couple. Arcane Fissure is cast approximately every 40 seconds at 100 energy. If you handled the arcane orbs correctly, every orb that hits the boss will reduce the timer by about 8 seconds. Tanks, make sure you aim Vexamus away from your group with Arcane Expulsion. It's a frontal magic cone, and it's unavoidable for yourself, so don't swing around. Healers, drop your mana bombs puddle slightly away from where you want to stand. Try to place them grouped nicely if possible. They will disappear after about a minute, so every third wave. Dispel Oversurge on your players when you can. And Arcane Fissure does a bunch of burst damage, so make sure everybody's topped off before then. DPS, drop your mana puddles slightly away and keep them grouped up as much as you can. And help soak one of the arcane orbs when you have no stacks of Oversurge. And you will kill Vexamus, no problem. Now on your way towards Crawth, if you've decided to take this path, you'll have a Guardian Sentry, which is an unavoidable enemy. That'll be coming a little bit later, but before you get to him, you have more of these elementals and mana worms. Same things, dodge the circles, dodge the cone, and stay stacked up as much as you can. And here is the Guardian Sentry. Make sure you avoid the deadly winds that's targeted on a random player. They move around in small circles and will stun and damage you. And during the Expel Intruders cast, it's a large AoE knockback. You can either get hit or you can get out of the AoE. You can see I almost got knocked off, but you can actually line it up so that way you get knocked back into the pillar and you won't get flown off the platform. Tanks, you can make sure to drag that mob to the pillar so that way it's easy to line of sight the ability. And Storm Slash is a nature damage tank buster, so it happens about every 10 seconds. Make sure you're popping some kind of mitigation. And once you are now towards the boss, of Crawth. You will have the Eagle Gauntlet. It's about 3 waves of eagles that are going to come out. The gauntlet begins as soon as you jump across from the previous platform. Dodge the dive bomb as they come in. Then stand as close to the tank as possible. Alpha Eagle will cast Call of the Flock. It enrages all nearby eagles. It's a high priority kick. If you miss, make sure you get rid of it by soothing or stunning them. Now let's jump into Crawth. So the main ability for everybody is Play Ball. It activates at 75% and 45%. Facing the boss from where you came from, left side is the wind and right side is the fire. You pick up the balls by running over them, and then you use your extra action button to throw once you're in the goal. If you choose fire, for the rest of the fight you have to dodge red swirls. Wind does a roving cyclone for the rest of the fight. Winds will push you around constantly. And you can pick up Gale Force Orbs to gain a temporary immunity to the push. Always stay slightly spread out but somewhat close to the boss as possible. Stop casting when Deafening Screech goes off, especially healers and casters. Overpowering Gust is a frontal cone aimed at a random player, and it will damage and knock back anybody hit by it. Tank's Savage Peck is a tank buster. It happens every 15 seconds. It can be dodged and parried, so use defensives when needed. Healers don't get interrupted by Deafening Screech, and DPS, same thing. Basically, the strategies for Play Ball is pick one goal or the other. Depending on your group comp, do the other one second, deal with the mechanics as explained. So for the advanced buff stacking, this method is designed to take advantage of the stacking powerful buff windows provided by the balls. DPS the boss for the first half of his life. Then for 75%, you'll want to hold onto the balls until you die from the next Deafening Screech cast. And when Sonic Vulnerability is stacked too high, or the boss is at about 47%, then throw them into the wind goal, and this activates Gale Force. Push the boss past 45% and pick up the new balls. That's kind of an advanced strategy. When we're getting to like the higher difficulties, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Honestly, you can almost do this boss without the whole Play Ball, but you do have to do it once you get to higher difficulties. And we're only having this fight take so long because our healer died, and then our DPS died, and now our tank almost died. A little bit sloppy here, but we do end up getting the job done. Alrighty, now when you head over to the Overgrown Ancient, you're going to have about 3 different packs of ads you're going to need to pick up. You have a Vile Lasher, which you're going to want to dodge the green swirls from the detonation seeds right there. They do damage and disorient for 5 seconds. The Aggravated Skitterfly. Use as many CCs as you can while fighting these, and pop cooldowns as well. You'll want to soothe the buff that they get. And the Darting Sting that they do as well deals pretty crazy damage, so you're going to want to mitigate that in some way. That strategy I've seen for this particular room before the Overgrown Ancient is to, again, stay stacked up with your group as tight as you can. Pop all your cooldowns, AoE, stuns, CCs, everything you can do, especially on these lashers and those stingers, so that way they don't overwhelm your tank or healer. And you should be good to go. Alright, let's move on to Overgrown Ancient. General tips is Germinate. You're going to want to stack loosely around the boss, so that way the lashers spawned close. Again, stay stacked up. This allows you to AoE them very easily. Branch Out is when he's going to toss out one of his branches, which is going to spawn a little Ancient branch. It's basically like a Resto Druid. You're going to want to interrupt it, kill it, so that way it doesn't heal the boss or anybody else. Important, this boss always casts Germinate, and then 15 seconds later Branch Out, and then 15 seconds later Germinate, and then immediately Burst Forth. That's always like the first rotation that he does. Tanks, be prepared to pick up all the Hungry Lashers during the Branch Out. This happens to add every 100 energy about every 45 seconds. Bark Breaker is a tank buster that happens every 20 to 30 seconds, which you are going to want to use a defensive on. Healers, make sure everyone's topped off when the Overgrown Ancient is about to reach 100 energy, so that way nobody will get killed. DPS, hard swap to the Ancient Branch when it spawns and interrupt it. Use defensives during the Burst Forth cast. And also, after you've killed that Ancient Branch, make sure you stack where it dies. If you get in its little circle, you'll be able to get rid of that nasty debuff Splinter Bark that you will have, If you don't do that, your healer's going to have a bad time. You can see I have a stack of it right now. And there's the bark. We're going to want to kill it and then stand in its area so that way you can get rid of that debuff. You can see the tank and the DPS are getting slapped. Everybody's taking lots of damage. Everybody's about to die. And healer down. This fight is a little crazy. And once you step it up to even higher difficulties, you can imagine it'll just keep getting harder and harder. So, yeah, make sure you pay attention to all the mechanics and just keep rolling. Alrighty. Now we head towards our last boss here of Doragosa. You're going to have 4 types of Dragonkin enemies. So they got the Security, the Echo Knight, the Spectral Evoker, and the Ethereal Restorer. These knights do this annoying ability with the Whirlwind. You can use CCs to disable that, and you can also knock them up and other kind of things, so do that when you can. Overall, kick as much as you can. Tank the enemies near a corner to kind of keep LOS on them. Healers, make sure you line of sight the Disrupting Pulse cast. DPS, stay out of the whirlwinds. Kick as much as you can. And a line of sight as well. Now on to the Echo of Doragosa. Every single ability applies overwhelming power. Do not get hit unnecessarily, or this fight will get exponentially harder. Some abilities are unavoidable. You will eventually get stacks. Stand relatively close to the boss if possible. Every 4 stacks you will drop an Arcane Rift where you are standing. And it will remain there for 2 minutes, so try to group them up as close as you can. Dodge the uncontrollable energy from those rifts and don't get hit by that. Watch out for this Astral Breath, and run away from that Power Vacuum. There's the Astral Breath right after that Power Vacuum came out. Arcane Missiles is on a random target and it gives a stack of overwhelming power. Energy Bomb, random target, move away from that person, as anyone who gets hit gets another stack of overwhelming power. Tanks, keep her far enough from the Arcane Rift to dodge those cones that are coming out. Healers, be ready for random party damage from the abilities, and dispel the energy bomb when the target is safely away from everyone. Don't do it immediately. DPS, make sure you move away with that energy bomb, and you guys will be able to crush this boss in no time. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful day, evening, or night. I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to do those YouTube things. Hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more guides or World of Warcraft content in the future. Alrighty. Peace.
Run.